I think it's extremely profitable to read today's gospel from the perspective of Jairus, because it really becomes a lesson of patience and trust and faith. Let's look at things from the perspective of Jairus very briefly. So Jairus was a man of prestige and a man of position in the town where he lived because he was an official of the synagogue. But he was in a dire position. He had an urgent need to be taken care of. His daughter, 12 years old, was about to die. Right? So it was something that needed an immediate solution. He comes up to the Lord and he says, "Come to my house, please, as soon as possible." They're walking to the house, and Jesus is stopped by a woman who had been sick for 12 years. 12 years is a long time. What's the difference between being sick 12 years and 12 years in one day? But Jesus stops to take care of something that wasn't urgent. So I imagine Jairus looking at Jesus saying, "Could you do that later, please? I mean, you got to take care of this right now." But Jesus stops and takes care of the woman. And it says the woman told him the whole truth. So you imagine Jairus looking at Jesus and the woman speaking, telling her whole story to Jesus about how she was sick and such. And then Jesus asks, "Who touched me?" I imagine Jairus being, "Wow, I think I got the wrong man. Something's wrong with Jesus." And then once the whole hemorrhage episode is done, they come up and they tell Jairus, "Your daughter is dead." Basically, Jairus said, "Well, my suspicions are confirmed. Everything's gone wrong." But then Jesus says, "Let's still go." They get to the house and Jesus says, she's not dead, she's asleep." And everybody starts laughing. Put yourself in the position of Jairus. It's so tough. Jairus is thinking, Jesus is really acting strange. Stopping to take care of hemorrhage. Now he says she's only asleep. But finally, Jesus makes a miracle. So I think this gospel is really a reminder, or it's really an episode that makes us ask this question. How much do you trust that Jesus will take care of your needs and petitions? How deep is your trust in him? Because there are going to be times where you're going to say, "Why don't you solve this already? Why don't you listen to my plea? Why don't you take care of this right now?" Like Jairus. But today is a question, today it's really useful to ask ourselves, how great is our trust in him? How much are you certain that even if he doesn't solve it right now, he is listening to what you're asking him? And I can tell you, brothers, that today when I meditated this gospel, I renewed my trust and I said, "Lord, in this petition that I'm bringing to you for years, that you don't respond yet, I know that you have a plan and I know that you listen to me."